Hi, everyone. This is Miss Brock. I wanted to take a moment to explain the new fiction modular review assignment. So when you get to the assignment, you'll need to click on the link here, the new fiction modular review, which will take you back to the lesson. And you can click on the activity button here, and it'll open up a PDF of the assignment. This assignment is very short. It is only 3 questions in length here. So I wanted to take some time to explain to you what exactly each question is asking and give you some potential response ideas. So let's look at number 1 together. Number 1 asks, what message about war does Hemingway express in another country? How does he use the elements of fiction to express it? So there are technically 2 parts to this question. So let's take a look at the first part together. Basically, it's just asking you to identify Hemingway's argument about war based on the events that unfold in the story. So you're just thinking about his argument, the author's argument about war. The second part of the question, you can explain, for example, how the major reacts to his wounded hand versus how he reacts to his wife's death. These are 2 incredibly life-changing events that happened to this character in this story, and you would think that he would have a similar reaction to both of them, but he actually doesn't. So take some time to think about his 2 different reactions to these 2 incredibly life-changing events and explain them to me. How does he react to his hand injury versus how does he react to losing his wife? Now, for question number 2, how does the point of view in Katherine Anne Porter's story He help express the story's meaning? So there are a couple of things that you can consider here. The first thing, and I'm going to type this here for you, the first thing you can consider is limited third person point of view. All right. Limited person point of view is where we have an outside narrator of a story. This narrator is not included in any of the events that unfold in this story. We're just getting this outside scoop of the plot as it unfolds as we are reading this story. So that's the third person part. Now, the limited part of this is where we have the inside scoop of one specific character's perspective of the story as it's unfolding. So in this case, that limited third person point of view in the story He comes from Mrs. Whipple. She's the mother in this story. Now, another thing you can consider in this story is dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is when we have conflicts or contradictions that pop up in the plot of the story. And the dramatic part of it is when we, the reader, recognize that there is this contradiction occurring, but the characters in the story have absolutely no idea that it's a contradiction. Now, there might be some revelation that this has occurred later on, maybe in the resolution of the story, but as the events are unfolding in the story, we, the reader, recognize it, but the characters do not. Okay, so those are 2 things that you can consider off the bat. Now, what I want you to think about is how Mrs. Whipple's point of view creates dramatic irony. Okay, so how does Mrs. Whipple's point of view create dramatic irony? This is the question I really want you to focus on in your response here. Now let's look at the third and final question of this review. What theme of the Black Ball depends on having a modernist narrator, a narrator with the power to change his society? All you really need to explain in this question is what the theme or the life lesson of the story is. So something that might help you decide on a theme of the story, you can think about some of the revolutionary ideas that are referenced in this story, particularly about changing society. So think about some events or some ideas that might have occurred in this story that challenge social norms. These might be considered rebellious or going against what's considered to be appropriate for society at this time. And you should be able to land on a theme for the story based on that.